I'm honestly in disbelief. That was one of the best Nintendo Directs in the world. I'm going to tell you right now, 10 out of 10 Nintendo Direct. And today we're going to break down every major announcement from this presentation, everything from the hardware of the Switch 2 itself to the massive amounts of games coming out for the system, like Mario Kart Worlds, insane open world Mario Kart, a brand new FromSoft game that's exclusive for the Nintendo Switch, and so much more. And honestly, everything we're talking about is super duper crazy and exciting. Also, the fact that Nintendo Switch 2 comes out June 5th, like in 2 months, I'm in disbelief, so let's talk about it. First of all, we start the Direct showing off the brand new Mario Kart game that is apparently the launch title with the Nintendo Switch 2. In my head, I never thought that they would get the balls to do something like this, because with every other Nintendo console, it seems like it always is gonna launch with a 3D Mario or a big Zelda game, but here we go with a brand new Mario Kart game launching the system, which makes sense because if you look at how much it sold on the Nintendo Switch, I mean, you can obviously see the hype around Mario Kart and why they chose to launch it with this game, but it looks fucking fabulous. It's in high definition, the character models are completely remade, and it looks like they're just adding every single character we could possibly want. We have the penguins, we have the Moo Moo Meadow cows, we have these maniacs from Mario Sunshine. We have so many like random and even obscure old school Mario enemies pulled back into this game, and I think that's what makes it so special, and that's something that's really cool with Mario Kart in general, is just how niche they get into the franchise, and they seem like they're going even deeper into that here. They show off basically an all new racing style, so instead of having your kart that turns into anti-grav, that goes underwater, that turns into a glider section, you change from kart to plane to basically jet ski and just race across this crazy land. I'm sure the mechanics of this are going to be slightly different, but I'm really excited because they seem to be basically redoing Mario Kart from the ground up for this title. You can grind on rails, you can hop from wall to wall. This honestly looks fucking crazy. The movement mechanics you can do here are wild, and on top of which there are 3 different modes. Of course, you have Classic, Grand Prix mode, which sees you doing 4 Mario Kart races, but then they also have this crazy like Battle Royale style mode where you basically go against a bunch of other players and you end up getting ranked out depending on how good you are, and you just go until you lose, from what I assume. And the last mode that we know about as of right now is the open world mode, basically, where you can just travel all across the land of Mario Kart Worlds and explore it not only by yourself, but with friends together. You can take photos, you can do all these like interesting social features. I think it's gonna be fantastic and a really well put together game. We also are going to get a specific Mario Kart Direct April 17th in just a couple weeks, and so I will be live for that. Subscribe if you want to see that. And I'm sure in that Direct they're going to show us even more modes, like maybe a story mode, maybe a double dash mode. We don't know how crazy they're going here, but the game is said to be like $80, so hopefully they're going to go pretty crazy and really show us how this next-gen Mario Kart game is worth the price. And then we found out what the C button is for. And the C button was teased a lot yesterday, and before that we had found out that there was this thing called the mystical C button. People thought it was Connect or a new social media maybe, or whatever the hell, but it ended up being a social features button where you can basically get on a Discord call with your friends inside of the Nintendo Switch 2 itself. So it has onboard voice chat and communication features with other players and your friends and stuff like that, which is really good. They just did it in a very Nintendo way, to be honest, because like it has these social features where you can get on this call with them and do all these things, but then also like you can see them the whole time. You can also get an accessory for the Nintendo Switch, as in a camera. You can place that camera down so that you could be seen during this, and basically like they just look like streamers. Like I was talking to my chat and it looks like they're just like low quality streaming on Twitch, to be honest. So that was really cool. It was also shown off that you could be in these calls while playing different games. You don't all have to be on the same one. It seems like a good social feature. It is tied to Nintendo Switch Online after March 31st, 2026, I believe. And so that's a little bit unfortunate because people who don't pay for that will not have access to that feature. But at the same time, it's like to be able to play most games online, you already needed the subscription service. And so it makes a little bit of sense here. But it seems like it's a part of the base online pass and not the expansion pass, so it's not going to be as expensive as the other ones, and we'll talk about the excitement of the expansion pass in just a second. They also showed off the game share a little bit, and this thing is fantastic because you can share games across the web. You know how when you get Split Fiction or a different co-op game, you can like give your friend an access code to that. You can do that now with the Switch Game Share feature and like share my Mario Kart, you know, and I could basically share my Mario 3D World game with you, and you could jump on and do the same thing. They also really showed off backwards compatibility here and how much the original Switch library is still going to continue to be a part of your Switch 2 library, which is a good and bad thing depending on how you look at it. And finally, we got the reveal of the hardware, what the Switch 2 is packing, and it is not disappointing. This thing is packed with next-gen tech, and it's going to be able to keep up with the likes of the modern systems in a whole new way. The display on the Switch itself is 1080p, kicking it up from the 720p resolution on the original Switch. It is an LCD display, however, it looks a lot better quality than the one we had originally on the Nintendo Switch, so I wouldn't worry too much about that factor. It also supports up to 120 FPS gameplay, which is absolutely crazy, and on top of that, they have HDR support, and we know that there's AI upscaling technology in there that is going to absolutely enhance the hell out of these games. They already showed off for Metroid Prime 4 the option between a graphics mode and a performance mode, which is a brand new exciting thing for Nintendo as well. They took us on a little bit of a tour of the upgraded Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Cons, and these look like a huge improvement. The buttons on the top, the SL and SR buttons, are a lot bigger, giving you better access to them. They connect via a magnet, which we knew already, and they're just much bigger controllers, so the thumbsticks are bigger and everything like that, so if you hated how tiny the original Joy-Cons are, this should be a big improvement for you. Unfortunately, I kind of liked how small they were because I have fairly small hands, so it was nice, but at the same time, I can adapt, you know what I mean? They've got a built-in mic, they've got surround sound, they've got a lot of different features packed in the Nintendo Switch, but one of the coolest ones is definitely the mouse mode. They really showed off what the mouse mode could mean for this system, while still sort of showing off how it is an optional feature, and it's not necessarily required in every game, but it can be utilized in things like Metroid Prime 4 that's shown later on, and then we got some exclusive mouse mode games that look really interesting. The onboard memory of the Nintendo Switch is also 256 gigabytes, which is way bigger, obviously, than the 32 gigabytes on the standard Nintendo Switch, so that is a massive improvement. Obviously, it's still not like that much storage, but I would take it over this one, and it now requires you to have micro SD express cards, which are just like a faster version of micro SD cards, but you have to use that type of card now for the Switch 2, which is cool because it basically means that the read speeds are going to be a lot faster and it should just be a more efficient card. The dock also supports 4K output, which is crazy, so there's an option in Metroid Prime 4, like I said, between graphics and performance mode, and you can have it be graphically at 4K 60 or 180p 124 frames per second, which is literally crazy. And honestly, I never thought that I'd see the day that Nintendo took performance this seriously, so it's great to see. And then they showed off the Nintendo Switch Welcome Tour, which is basically a collection of different tech demos and things to show off what your Nintendo Switch is capable of doing. This looked pretty cool if it was an included game like Astrobot or something on the system, but unfortunately it isn't. I don't know how much this is going to cost, but I think if it's more than $5 or $10, it's definitely not worth it because, like, you know, it's just a bunch of tech demos. There's no actual game there, and it doesn't even look like that of interesting tech demos, you know? It's just a better way to explore the Nintendo Switch 2 and see everything it can do, which is cool, but it's weird that it's sold separately in my opinion, and it said specifically that it was paid, which is really strange. The game cards are also slightly different just because they're red now, which is fine. I mean, it's just a way to differentiate them, I'm assuming mostly for marketing and for differentiating purposes, you know what I'm saying? And they also showed off the Pro Controller, which looks basically exactly like the Pro Controller we have now, but they have programmable buttons on the backs, which is really awesome that they like listen to that being a feature that people really wanted, on top of also putting the C button on the controller itself, which is cool, you know, and obviously fairly necessary for how much they're trying to sell that feature as a part of the Nintendo Switch 2. And finally, they announced that it was coming out June 5th, which is massive. That's just 2 months and 3 days away. I can absolutely wait, and I'm so fucking excited. Like, Xenoblade is going to keep me busy until then. We also know that we're getting so many launch games, it's going to be overwhelming. Then they talk about Switch 2 Edition games, which is basically using that backwards compatibility of the Nintendo Switch and adding a little bit of extra content on top of it. So Switch 2 Edition games are basically just going to have DLC. Think of them as like the deluxe ports on the Switch. So it's like the original game comes out on the Wii U, new, they upgrade it and put it onto the Nintendo Switch. I think they're doing something very similar here, but due to the fact that there is backwards compatibility, you have the option to buy the game again, or you could just put the original game in your system and get a small upgrade. It's not really confirmed as of right now recording whether that is a paid feature or not, but I did hear somewhere that if you have Nintendo Switch Online, it's a free upgrade, which would be massive. And if it isn't a free upgrade, $10 for something like this, I think is fair, especially since they're adding so much DLC with things like Jamboree TV and basically adding a bunch of new Mario Party mini games specific to the Nintendo Switch 2. Obviously, Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild are also getting their own upgraded versions, and they look quite a bit better, and then they basically have this functionality with the Nintendo Switch Online app, which is insane that they're keeping that app around, but they are, and you can have a GPS, a Hyrule GPS in there that tells you where to go, which I don't know who was complaining about being lost in that world because you can easily mark shit, but hey, it's a feature that's there. Kirby Forgotten Land is also getting an expansion like this with Star-Crossed Worlds, which looks to be a whole new campaign type thing added in the game, which is awesome. I love when they do these things. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is one of my favorite games on Switch, you know, along with the other 25 that I absolutely adore on that system. But, like, it's a great, great game, and so to see more of it is really, truly exciting. And again, if it's a free upgrade with Switch Online, this is absolutely 1000% worth it and awesome. And if it's like $5 to $10 upgrade, if you don't have that, I also think that's fair. Then they talked about two games that we're really nervous about, to be honest, Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon Legends ZA. And they confirmed that both of those are going to have Switch 2 original versions that you can play, you know, with the upgraded graphics and things like that on the next gen console. So that is super exciting because a lot of people were worried that Prime 4 was going to be stuck on the Switch 1 and like not have all the features and upgrades that could be possible with the hardware of the Nintendo Switch 2. And Legends ZA, you know, might not crash as often on the Switch 2. Like, I don't even super know what the excitement is there, but it seems cool, and the game still looks pretty good. Then Nintendo announced another just really strange title. It reminded me a lot of when they marketed the hell out of Flip Wars. This is Drag and Drive, and this utilizes the mouse movements of the Nintendo Switch 2, and just like, you play a wheelchair basketball game, and like the way you're moving around is entirely via the mouse. It looks interesting, and it's definitely a great game to show off that feature of the system. This game is gonna be cool depending on the price. If they're trying to sell us $60 for this, absolutely not. But if this baddie is hitting the shelves for like $20, I think it could be a great time. It looks like a fun little, you know, multiplayer game that shows off the exact gimmick that the Nintendo Switch 2 is trying to sell us. And it's a new IP, so it's always exciting when Nintendo touches on a brand new IP, no matter how small of a project it might be. And now we get into one of the craziest parts of this presentation. The third-party presence on the Nintendo Switch 2 is literally unmatched. We are getting Elden Ring, Hades 2, Street Fighter 6, a brand new Daemon X Machina, Split Fiction, all the EA games like Madden and stuff like that, Hogwarts Legacy, Skate 2 and 3 for some reason, which honestly these games look fantastic and I might pick them up day one, Hitman 007 edition, and also the other Hitman games. I'm not a big Hitman girly, but they seem alright. Bravely Default, Yakuza, and then a crazy one, which is basically Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, but now it's thrown into the world of Tears of the Kingdom. So this is called Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, and that is coming in winter, and it looks pretty okay. I'm not a big Hyrule Warriors person, but I'll definitely pick this one up, especially if the story is more thought out and canon here. The last game was one of the best-selling Warriors games ever, and it was a pretty decent game, so I look forward to playing this one and checking it out in winter. I'm assuming that's going to launch in like October or November. Then we got a super, super crazy one, probably one of the craziest announcements of this entire Direct. GameCube is being added to Nintendo Switch Online. It starts out with a modest few games: Wind Waker, Soul Calibur, and F-Zero GX, but they look awesome, and I'm really, really excited to dive into this library. The GameCube was like right before my time. I played it a tiny, tiny bit, but I was very, very young, and I really look forward to going back to the system and seeing all of the iconic games and finally checking them out for myself. They also showed like, you know, a new drip feed of announcements that they're going to release throughout the rest of the year, probably, with things like the Pokemon Gale of Darkness games, Luigi's Mansion, Mario Sunshine, and some cool shit like that. We're also getting a GameCube NSO controller, and this all launches June 5th, obviously the day the Nintendo Switch 2 comes out. So awesome launch day content right there as well. Then we got a crazy one, a game that people have been asking for a very long time. Deltarune Chapters 3 and 4 are coming out on the launch day of the Switch 2, and it looks insane. This game looks really cool. I sort of dabbled in Deltarune and Undertale, but I hadn't finished either of them. I think the games are really, really cool, and I'm very excited for fans of the franchise because I know they've been asking for it for a long time. In a similar vein, we randomly saw Silk Song that is still confirmed to be coming out in 2025, but we didn't get too much information other than that. Just a reminder that it is here, and hopefully we will get more information soon. Borderlands 4, Civilization, 2K games, and some weird, like, survival island game. I don't know. At this point in the presentation, for some reason, the Nintendo of America stream, like, crashed and got out of sync and, like, lagged way far behind. So that was a very, very weird experience. I don't know why it did that, but, you know, did what it did, and, like... So there was a lot of announcements here we, like, low-key didn't see. They also announced Cyberpunk 2077, but the only way that you could, like, you had to just, like, clearly listen to what they're announcing, and then, like, we didn't see any gameplay of that whatsoever. I think the other regions didn't have issues like that, so if you want to see what that looks like on the Nintendo Switch, I'm sure watching the Nintendo UK presentation or something like that would show you what you're looking for. I also am assuming that Nintendo is going to fix that issue directly with YouTube itself in like an hour or so, or it honestly might already be fixed, so let me know what you think of Cyberpunk 2077 on the Nintendo Switch. Does it look good? I have not seen it. Final Fantasy VII Remake is also coming to the Nintendo Switch, which is pretty hype. They showed off a game called Fast Fusion, which looks a lot like Fast RMX. I'm assuming it's by the same team. It looks great. And so if you need some F-Zero love, bang bang, there you go. Fortnite is also coming out launch day with the Nintendo Switch 2, which is super exciting because that runs like absolute crap on the base Nintendo Switch console. So I'm looking forward to finally diving back into that game on my Nintendo console come June 5th. Now, one of the craziest announcements of this entire thing is that FromSoftware is developing an exclusive game for the Nintendo Switch. It looks sort of like horror adjacent. You know, I'm assuming it's going to be a pretty challenging type game. Looks similar to Bloodborne, people were saying. I don't have that much experience with the FromSoftware franchise. I've watched people play a lot of those games, but I personally haven't really touched them. So I'm looking forward to diving into Elden Ring when it comes out on the Nintendo Switch, as well as checking out this exclusive game that FromSoft is just like only putting on the Switch, which is literally crazy. Out of everything I could have bet on happening in this direct, that is not even sort of close to something I would expect to see. It's called The Dust Bloods and is coming 2026, so it's a really cool game that we all get to look forward to. Oh my god, Kirby Air Ride is getting a game. What? Kirby Air Riders, okay? Kirby Air Riders, coming 2025, so this year, Masahiro Sakurai has been making a brand new game, and he's revitalizing Kirby Air Ride, which is craziness. We didn't get to see too much of this game other than the CG trailer, but it looks awesome, and I'm very excited, and with our boy Sakurai working on that game, we know it's about to be absolutely insane. My one hesitation with it is the fact that we have Mario Kart on the Nintendo Switch already, like it's launching with the Switch 2. So in my opinion, it's a little weird to also release another racing game in the same exact year. I think it's fine, but I would have spaced it out a little bit more, in my opinion. And then we end with an announcement. I was thinking Mario, Zelda, one of those main franchises that we haven't seen a new iteration of yet, right? Obviously, we're going to get something of that caliber, but no. They shocked the world with this one. They shocked me to my very core, because if you don't know, I've been playing Donkey Kong. I've been on a Donkey Kong kick. I've beaten every single Donkey Kong Country game in the last few months, and they're some of my favorite experiences of all time. I love Donkey Kong to my damn bones, baby. That game is amazing. The whole franchise. And so, when they announced a brand new 3D Donkey Kong game, you can imagine my surprise. Here's my reaction.
Donkey Kong? Oh my god! Oh, chat! Oh my god! What?
I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This game looks beautiful. They redesigned Donkey Kong, and I don't know how much I love his redesign. I really did like the retro design, but I think you know, making him closer to the movie could be a good idea just branding and marketing wise, and it looks awesome. The graphics are genuinely beautiful. The gameplay looks phenomenal. They blend like 2D segments and 3D segments, and it really just looks like the evolution of what Donkey Kong could be. To tell you guys the truth, I had fully given up on the idea of a 3D Donkey Kong game ever coming to fruition. I figured if we ever get anything, it's probably going to be a smaller 2D release, and so to see them bringing my boy into the limelight again just like he deserves after 11 years of literally radio silence, after one of the best games of all time comes out, I was floored. This game comes out July 17th, so literally a month after the system launches, we are getting an absolute goddamn banger, and I cannot be more excited for this game. So, let me know your favorite announcement from this presentation. This was a ton of information, and a ton of very exciting things. Obviously, we will be live again in 2 weeks to check out the brand new Mario Kart Worlds game. I'm going to be excitingly talking about the Donkey Kong game. Let me know if you want a full video on that, because there's so much content in this direct that I could literally make a video a day for a very long time, and I honestly might. Between breaking down the tech and everything else and the pricing and all that stuff, there's a lot of excitement coming. The Switch does look like it's going to end up being around $450 with more expensive games, so it's going to burn a hole in your pocket yet again, but hey, Nintendo's delivering a lot of quality this generation, and I super look forward to playing this and checking it out in literally 2 fucking months. I cannot believe it. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. How would you rate the Direct out of 10? I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10, but let me know what you think, and check out this video. It's a banger, it's a vibe, it's a good time, and I will see you over there. Goodbye!